I think of the monkey. What
The
is the name of
monkey
the monkey?
thing.
Yeah, that went famous.
Oh my gosh. I've only seen pictures.
Yeah, that poor little monkey in Japan. His mother disowned him, and then the rest of the gorilla tribe or
Why?
whatever disowned him. And so what they did was they gave him a stuffed animal. Punchkun is the name. And that stuffed animal was his companion while he was ostracized from his community.
And we all related.
Um, and we
We all
all
we all
related, but
related.
also it was kind of like a temporary crutch rather than like, oh, now he's only building connections with stuffed animals and completely not no longer
Right.
like shun himself from monkeys.
Yeah, that stuffed animal was an avatar. And us not being obviously far removed from glorified monkeys with brains, but novel approaches to overcoming those kinds of interactions can be addressed through AI smart glasses, I think for sure.
What would have happened if we didn't have that like companion stuffed animal?
Depression, monkey depression. I would recommend for everyone watching to go read the blog post that Mark wrote on July 30th, 2025. And it's called Personal Superintelligence. That's his philosophy underlining all of this new direction with AI glasses and how people are going to be empowered. Like for him, it's his vision is really around empowering people again with a certain hope. Um, it's I'm going to read just a little bit of it if I can, just so that
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
to ground this back into like why are we here now,
Mhm.
and it's around this Mark's vision of personal superintelligence. It seems clear that in the coming years, AI will improve all our existing systems and enable the creation and discovery of new things that aren't imaginable today. But it's an open question what we will direct superintelligence towards. In some ways, this will be a new era for humanity, but in others, it's just a continuation of historical trends. So then he goes on to say a couple things, and then we believe in putting this power in people's hands to direct it in what they value in their own lives. At Meta, we believe that people pursuing their individual aspirations is how we have always made progress, expanding prosperity, science, health, and culture. It's interesting that he's talking more about instead of better together, he's saying individual pursuits. So there's that sense of rugged individualism and freedom that's not really community driven. And so it's just interesting to take a look at that and see um, what's guiding their philosophy around bringing these glasses to the public and how they see developers using them.
It's that it's once again, it's
Oh,
one of
it's,
those
yeah.
things. It's like, yes, that's what new technology will do in general. Like this is not specific to AI. This is like any new technology that we create is supposed to solve the problem that allows us to advance all of humans' goals and our best to advance all our advancements
Yeah, to
for
make
humankind.
progress, right? To move
Yeah, to
forward
be
and
to better
elevate.
to
But
move us forward.
but
But what it doesn't say is how these smart glasses that they're going to design are going to move that needle explicitly, practically at all. Like, I'm not supposed to be practical, but it's like right now,
yeah, no,
what is being pitched and what is being shown does not. I don't see a link to that vision statement to what is actually being. You can take
it's
captures, great. It's you can socialize, you can communicate, great. WhatsApp, whatever, without having to look at your phone. You're still probably going to need your phone when you're wearing these glasses. And then on top of that, you have AI now that can tell you where you are, what you're going to do, where you're going to go, maybe, which is great in and of itself. But how are you bridging that to advancements in healthcare and advancements, especially when we already know with VR, there's so many healthcare institutions, education institutions, universities that really were desperate to use are the VR headset, specifically Quest for these things, and they were not able to access them because the software layers in between, the login layers, the admin layers, did not exist
the
for them to be able to
login
integrate it into their
layers.
institutions, you know? So like they could not do that unless they completely unlock a headset and like kind of use it for
Right.
themselves. The same thing with the Facebook, bring the world closer together, and then we saw what happens. In some ways it was good, and others it kind of flipped our head upside down. So it's like, okay, did we learn from those lessons about like how do we make sure, we're not yeah,
No.
upending the world order
No, these
by
glasses make it 10 times worse. It's 10 times worse with these glasses because they are so unassuming and people don't really know what what they're getting into when you're wearing these cameras out and you could do facial recognition. We know that, you know,
and we're already seeing Ring. They're already trying to introduce it with the Ring.
oh, well,
Uh, did you
that
see
that
that
alone right,
commercial?
for home right, the home cameras are
Yeah.
a really good example of how that works, right? It's like these companies to make more money or to be in compliance with the federal government will just hand over all those video files. I mean, already there's reports of how the administration has sent subpoenas to Facebook and other social media companies to identify groups that are anti-administrate or anti-ICE, right? So how much of this information is stored, captured, shared? What are the sort of safety threats that let alone like the administration has against its own people, but other bad actors or God forbid, like these malware, ransomware. Like all I need to do is know that this person has these glasses and then they work at this company and then I can just kind of tap into their camera by some other kind of malware app or something. Like people are going to be very creative around how they're going to scam people through these glasses or target people. And so
Mm.
I think it's a hard I
Are
personally
they having
think
facial technology in it? Is that
oh,
like a
there
sure bet
is
or
a report. We'll have to find it and link it in the about how Facebook was saying this time right now, with everyone focused on all this other stuff going on, is a really good time to introduce fake facial recognition into their software because people are not paying attention.
like that seems like a liability waiting to like a legal
Yeah,
option sentence.
it says February 13th, 2026. Meta is planning to add facial recognition to its smart glasses. Sources tell the New York Times that Meta is reportedly considering using the feature to detect people that the wearer is connected with on one of Meta's platforms. It's
Wow.
also exploring identifying people whom the user may not know, but who have a public account on Meta's site like Instagram. Anyone not using Facebook or Instagram can just get an account made without their permission and be added to the panopticon without their consent. Here's the quote. We will launch during a dynamic political environment where many civil society groups that we would expect to attack us would have their resources focused on other concerns. That's a quote
Wow.
from their document. Yeah. So
Okay, so yeah, there's a
so
yeah.
so that
So
was just
yeah,
a week ago. I mean,
yeah.
that's the sense of being overwhelmed with what direction to go in and what's this pivot about, and there's stuff coming out every day that the play is not about empowering people. It's about a massive surveillance technology that once out of the gate, people won't take their anger out on the company. They're going to take out their anger on the users, right, who are walking around. And so I think that's why it's so important with the trust factor is that it might be a different environment if people actually trusted these companies to protect their users, but they're protecting their investors as they're set up to do. But that comes with a lot of loss to our personal safety. So there's a huge trade off. And I think if more people pay attention to this, and that's why I was saying it's going back to that point about the developer who made an app that can detect these glasses, we're going to find some creators going into a counter development trajectory that is that's in opposition to some of these surveillance technologies.
Meta is not the only one doing sunglasses. Every company is doing sunglasses. Google arguably will have more info than Meta does in general, but a lot of big companies are going to be are going to be putting out AI glasses. Facial technology is a feature that is likely going to be available because we already see with one company already
Right.
implementing them. So the danger is if we let one company allow this feature to be in and be used in this way, and we know that businesses, corporations are beholden to give stuff to the government, and we're in politically unstable times where we don't know what those government limits are, I think, as citizens. And so it doesn't feel unrealistic anymore to think that, they could solicit or get information from these platforms that we as consumers are using and put innocent people at risk, right? Like this is already happening with smartphones during the Black Lives Matter protests and other protests. They're telling people not to show up with phones anymore, or not to take video anymore, because when you do, the police are going back and looking on social media and seeing all those faces that were in your video, and then using AI facial recognition technology to go find where they live and arrest them. We saw that with a lot of these protesters from January 6th that
Well, they
climbed
were
the White
just
House.
they were just
And then
showing off
protest is
and
not even the right
sharing it.
word.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a worse word for what they did. But a lot of those were caught because of facial recognition technology from people taking videos and photos and posting it on social media. So yes, it's not far fetched. It can happen. That is a thing, and one company is already introducing it and being explicit about this timing of putting it out. But even then, the Ring was the first company to say that they're doing this. And what has that backlash been? We're not seeing anybody with the capability to stop this, or at least that's at the institutional level.
You bring up a really strong point, and I think you're absolutely on target with the fact that it's not just one company. And it's easy to sort of pin everything on one. And
Mhm.
to your point around the Ring camera, that's a stationary camera that doesn't go anywhere. But if you're out in public and you're wearing glasses that are capturing everything around you and information and personal details if you're inside and in an office, um, that I think resonates with people more as a cause for concern, especially
Yeah.
if you start to connect that to, okay, I'm going to feed this information to law enforcement. That's a level of surveillance we've never seen before. And it's not
Well, if I'm
unlike,
in the UK, they have CCTV here, and it's like if you're outside, you're being filmed. To some degree. Now, do they use it
yeah,
regularly? No, like I don't think so. Like I've had my friend's phone stolen, and we are like, "Can we get the CCTV to like
and
show
then
like who took it?" But they're like, "No, we're not." They don't care about the little petty stuff. But it would like UK for it is a CCTV state that the government does have access to filming anytime you're outside in public. It exists already today. Now, what's scary about the way America's doing it is, like you said, it makes people the agents of the state, and in the sense of like this is not a state sanctioned thing, so you can't hold the state accountable. Or it's like people going around, and you get more insidious things like inside a place rather than
right.
just outside in public,
Yeah.
because of that capture. Yeah. But the larger point, and the reason why we're here, is not necessarily to talk about the dangers of it because that's everywhere. What we want to do is hone down in, is this a viable product that we think is going to be the next game changer, where it makes sense to invest how we currently
Mhm.
as we have been, that to make the same investments, or can we think a little bit more clear headed about this next direction of what we're going, because this could also fail too.
And what does failure look like? Is that just like it not taking off, people not like in so the deadline or not the deadline, the timeline is 2030, right? In 2030, everyone's going to be wearing these glasses. I mean, there is that quote too around people will be at a cognitive disadvantage not wearing smart glasses. I personally disagree with that assessment. Um,
Let's connect that to when we're thinking about the success. Do we feel like it has proven product market value today? Small note, just a little context. Smart glasses, like the Meta Ray-Bans, are priced very similarly to regular premium sunglasses. And because of that, it's really hard to determine what real consumer demand looks like. The hardware may be subsidized to drive adoption, which is not an uncommon thing to do. Get the large numbers, and then from there, hopefully find product market fit. But when you actually start to see metrics like retention, engagement, how many people are actually using it on a daily basis, these are all the more truer indication of product market fit. Okay. Given that there are a few smart
no,
glass devices out,
I'm
no,
gonna
it's
say no for most people. For
okay.
content creators and people that are out and about filming their lives and blogging their lives and have lots of followers,
Yeah.
it could be, but this is what I this is the way I gauge the glasses in my mind because people are talking about a huge use case, going to a concert. I went to a music festival, the Portola Music Festival in San Francisco. It was 2 days. There was hardly anyone wearing, the Meta Ray-Bans. I don't think I saw one pair. I'm sure people had them, but everyone's wearing sunglasses, and at the end of the festival, the whole ground was covered with litter, and most of the litter was sunglasses.
Oh,
It was
interesting.
it was like
That is
busted up sunglasses everywhere, and so if you go to a music festival, I highly recommend looking to see what's on the ground at the end, and you will
yeah.
see sunglasses. So, no, I don't think that everyone's gonna buy $800, $500 pair of sunglasses to be left at the
Just
music festival
to my dog eating it.
or lost it to your dog eating it. So, those are small, weird little challenges that people don't kinda incorporate into their thinking. But, yeah, if I'm an extreme skier or an extreme
Mhm.
sports enthusiast, those glasses are gonna get damaged multiple times.
Glasses has a product market fit already, right? For two people. One, for people who need prescription and can't see. That's like a huge value. And then there's the people who you would wear it for sun or for skiing and snowboarding. So there's two demographics that are large, arguably mass, that would actually be a perfect market fit. Just add in a little camera capture, some voice commands, make it easier to multitask with their phone. Perfect. They would be a viable market. The only barriers that I would see though, like you said, one, you people lose their glasses all the time. And number two, for the people who do use sunglasses, they're not wearing sunglasses all day. They're wearing it when they go outside. They're wearing it, occasionally, and they may be losing it at some time. They'll have multiple pairs because it matches with different outfits. So even for that demographic, smart glasses doesn't feel like a an easy win because there does come with more friction. And then you have the tech enthusiasts, these people like me who don't need glasses, thankfully today, but would love it because, oh, it's like an AirPod mixed with a camera capture, mixed with like I can make phone calls while, like I told you in the last podcast, walking my dog and holding a latte in the one hand. So that handless value. So there's something there, but there's a lot of barriers to scale that I see that are very obvious today. It's not like an everyday, all day solution. It's a situational solution because of all this. Does it match my outfit? Do I need sunglasses today? Even if I use transitional, do I want to wear plain? Like
Mhm.
if I'm going snowboarding, like this is great. I can take a first person capture, but I can't capture myself in it.
The convenience of being able to shoot outwards and then turn it around on yourself can't be, understated, and,
Yeah.
um I do think, obviously, I mean, there are really good use cases, and there is something to be said for the level of convenience of being able to take calls on something, but that's just like a glorified Bluetooth speaker. You know what I mean? That's been with us for a long time. So you can go to any kind of stationery store, which I
Yeah.
did, and see like, oh, get your wireless Bluetooth speaker glasses, like, and pay like $15.
Right.
So they will still need to be paired to your phone in some way. They're still gonna have some level of connectivity there.
So
So
they
I
can definitely not replace your smartphone.
not yet. I mean, and I
Right? They're a
think
companion solution.
the one of the lessons of VR too is just like this idea that, oh, it's gonna replace the phone. Okay, now I think that these glasses can go exist with all the other devices out there. If they're going to take over mobile, it's still a ways off. I don't think it's, like, gonna be in 5 years. But I'd love but prove me wrong. I could be wrong, but
Yeah.
I just don't having seen the trajectory and having what we know about Google Glass and history and what caused Google Glass to fail.
I don't think it's gonna replace smartphones at all either. I do think it's more of an accessory, and for all the risks of pain points that we've given, even if it does make an initial launch that looks great, all that friction points that we just listed are not easily overcome in its design. In terms of safety, when adopting new technology, obviously, those of us who are underrepresented in this space, we are more vulnerable to things. So we've seen the underbelly of society a lot.
Right.
So we have no qualms of believing that this technology could also amplify a lot of the dangers that we would be vulnerable to as women and as people of color, and all of that. So especially when it comes to capturing on camera, and especially in this political climate. Okay, so who do we think they're actually for in the near term? If they were to launch these devices today, we know that Apple's planning AI glasses launched this year. At least that's what's rumored. Google is also launching XR glasses that they demoed that I thought was a super cool demo at I/O last year, which to me feels like, oh, everybody's gonna get this, but that's a different story. And then then we have, Meta is also launching the fourth edition of Ray-Bans, and then there's also these smaller players, quote unquote. By small, I mean they're not
Well,
big
there's
tech. Um, they're
Snapchats, spectacles.
Yes, X-Rail and Rokit, I'm hearing. I never heard of it like in real life, but I'm seeing online. So these devices, who do we think that they're for today in terms of where they have product market fit, and where do we think in 5 years? It sounds like we both agree this is not a mainstream solution yet, but maybe it's just early adopters or like I think developers and enthusiasts still.
I think content creators and people that want convenience of
Yeah,
listening to their music without earbuds and still having situational awareness. There's a lot to be said for the heads up, hands free experience. There's definitely user interface design challenges that I think are interesting just in terms of inputs and how we can be more natural in the way that we engage with our devices. But yeah, I think they're for early adopter tech enthusiasts, content creators, and people that live active lifestyles that want to capture those moments and, like you said,
yeah,
capture family memories and things like that. Translation, I think, is a really good use case. Like
yeah,
live translation while you're traveling, I mean, that
yeah.
seems like a no-brainer. But this idea that somehow I'm gonna be more productive or smarter with these glasses, no, smarter for who, right? Like, who's gaining this super intelligence? They're training their AI on all of the information that I'm seeing, and I'm paying them to do that. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just like that alone, I think as an artist, it might be interesting to come up with some concepts around counter measures to some of these surveillance things or yeah, how do you turn it around? Like to your point, Clorama, around I felt safer being able to activate a camera to document what I'm experiencing. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
powerful. And so artists are always thinking of alternative ways to use this stuff. And those are creative solutions. There's definitely fun and practical, productive ways to use these devices. But I think for me personally, the dangers are just too high. And I don't really trust people that wear those glasses.
I see what you're saying. Smart glasses to use like a vehicle for facial recognition technology. Do you feel like,
Yes,
and that in and of itself is a huge barrier to seeing
option
this to
to my
actually getting fully integrated into society? Because I think a lot of people, this is going to bring up like it's like I love that you mapped that to Google Glasses because you're right, like that was the thing that kind of killed that initial project was the public societal reception to it, and whether that will be strong enough this time around is the question. So okay, that's fair. Personally, I agree with you that that is a huge barrier, and there's like minimal government oversight right now. I think on technology, we're seeing AI being deregulated in terms of its growth. And right now, there's a business opportunity for these companies to now use that advantage of not having government oversight, even as slow as it used to be, anyways, to like just kind of go hard and scale. And will probably, unfortunately, that does mean there's going to be natural social consequences. However, with the appetite of AI being so strong, that's going to be a killer feature for these glasses. Any of these things can easily be overridden with a knowing that I can have a wearable chat GBT that's going to understand the context of my environment, that will talk to me like a personal companion, is going to meet my needs as an individual who, doesn't have community anymore and feels a sense of loss, and being able to speak to someone that's on my head. That alone, we're seeing ChatGPT be very successful. That's already a successful utility that we're seeing people use every day of almost billion people. So if we put that in glasses, that's going to be the fire that actually overcomes a lot of the user friction barriers. And unfortunately, whether or not it gets a war between social comfort and glasses, the camera alone, because the
it's
ChatGPT will need that camera to understand the awareness of what's happening on at all times. It's going to be able to see what you're seeing at any time. And we're seeing that already in,
like
I
real
think
time.
real time. Galaxy XR can do that already in the headset, which is, and I haven't used it. To me, that's the best feature. Like I love it. So I'm like, dang, this is going to be interesting. So I do think that that is the killer feature. AI is going to be the killer feature for smart glasses.
But I think that you're at the bleeding edge. right?
Hmm.
You're in a very small section of the population that has more of like a lifestyle versus the mainstream, right? That
Well, I guess isn't ChatGPT mainstream?
right? Like, okay, like this the proverbial soccer mom, if you're looking at these
Yes.
user personas,
Yes.
or the cross-country truck driver, middle-class Americans that are struggling to make ends meet, or
Yes.
even independent artists that are trying to sustain their work with paid contracts. And so I I think we're sort of living in a little bit of a bubble here, thinking that like, oh, how is smart glasses going to help a mom who's struggling with 4 kids and all these different schedules with her children, and making sure that everyone has what they need, and, that work-life balance. "Oh, and I've got
Yeah.
these glasses to do what for me?"
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it has AI in it, and especially if it's agentic, and you can say, like, for example, the driver, the cross country driver, he's going to be lonely. He's going to want a companion, someone to talk to. Maybe his wife
But
or
not while he's
her
driving
husband
down the
or
highway.
or
Like, I don't
partner.
want him,
No,
like,
that's what I'm saying.
like
No, it's like literally having a passenger that you're having a conversation with, right? So it's like
but if there
if
I
or
guess
you're
I'm
on the
saying
phone.
if there's a visual display while that's happening, I
Oh,
don't
visual
want
display
I'm
is different.
just okay.
Yeah, visual display, whether that is going to be, I think that is also an excuse. I'm talking about just
The audio
the
oh, yeah,
voice
for
AI,
sure.
the audio, the AI, the contextual, the AI being able to see what you see and talk to you in real time about what you see, and then have a natural conversation around it. And then you can say, hey, can you set up this calendar invite? And if it's connected to your app, and it can go ahead and do that for you, like as an agent, set up
You
flights
can
for
be very
you.
productive.
It could
Yes.
be very productive as an assistant that's always with you at all times,
Fair
and a
enough. Yeah.
companion. But the visual, like to your point, if you're talking about yeah, that's a different story. I don't see
I
that.
don't want
Like I see that being very niche. Like there is a product market fit with like cyclists who are using it to like determine wind speed and at what angle
right.
they need to like bike and whatever. Like I see athletic use. I see that's an enterprise use case to me. But day-to-day consumer,
We know the movie Her and all that, and the AI evolves and runs off with the other AI, right? And they start their own little AI colony.
I think of the monkey.
The
What is the name of
monkey
the
thing.
monkey that, yeah, that went famous?
Oh my gosh, I've only seen pictures, I don't really know the whole like, this poor little monkey.
Yeah, that poor little monkey in Japan who got his mother disowned him, and then the rest of the gorilla tribe or
Why?
whatever disowned him. And so what they did was they gave him a stuffed animal. Punchkun is the name. So it's a or simply
Monkey.
known as Punch, a baby Japanese snow monkey at the Ichikawa City Zoo in Japan. He gained viral attention on social media for his attachment to a large orangutan stuffed toy. And that stuffed animal was his companion while he was ostracized from his community.
And we all related.
Um, and we
We all
all
we all
related, but
related.
also it served as such a strong emotional crutch, because what would have happened if we didn't have that companion stuffed animal?
Depression, monkey depressions. Give him the glasses so that he can
But the thing is he got
right.
re-entered back into the thing. Apparently now he has friends again, being accepted back into the community of snow monkeys. And
Aw.
so it was a good thing that he had that. It was kind of like a temporary crutch rather than, oh, now he's only building connections with stuffed animals and completely not no longer
Right.
like shun himself from monkeys. There was some kind of regulating factor that it provided emotionally while he was going through that tough socially ostracized time.
Mm.
So then AI companions, like sometimes we do go through lonely spurts and sometimes we do need therapists but can't afford it. So there's something to that.
It's very interesting around the way that, the social cohesion and then the isolation, and how, yeah, that stuffed animal was an avatar. Right?
Yeah,
And it was
exactly.
able to regulate whatever negative interactions, emotions, monkey psychology, and us not being obviously far removed from glorified monkeys with brains, but novel approaches to overcoming those kinds of interactions can be addressed through AI smart glasses, I think for sure, right? Like what you're talking about, and creating those embodied experiences that allow us to bridge that gap between feeling isolated and then feeling connected.
Yes. So I think okay, so this is a good place to land. And I think we kind of got a good thinking of a lot of different places. And I think in terms of grounding the future, we outlined what we feel like are very clear risk and also some really clear value propositions. The idea is smart glasses is here for sure. I think it will exist in some shape or
Oh,
form.
yeah.
I think we both are aligned that it won't replace smartphones, at
At
least
least
not in
not
what it looks
by
like today.
2030. Not by 2030.
Because the world is going through a lot of upheaval, to reference that quote, and I don't think glasses is, like, on their priority need of what people need today. The people who are still excited about adopting new technology are the enthusiasts who are investors. I see in order for smart glasses, in order for it to succeed, we need regulation. We need, I think, and if we don't regulate it ahead of time, we're going to be reactive to all the problems it causes, unintended consequences it causes, the social harm it causes, and then we'll have to reverse to try to fix it. And I'm not optimistic that these businesses will prioritize mitigating as much social harm as possible with the potential of these new capabilities that are covert and all that before it scales. So that means that society will have to curve it back. That is the biggest barrier to us both seeing mainstream adoption of this is the social cultural problems that is going to hit along the way that's going to curtail it. And like you said, it
Eh,
could be as simple as people not hitting the sunglasses off your face, so people are scared to wear it in public, or it could be as huge as being caught in a scandal, maybe people creating solutions that will then block out the facial technology as a defensive mechanism. And but even worse, the other side of this is government can use this for their own needs. And if things keep heading towards a trajectory where it feels like where people are, we're already seeing groups being targeted,
yeah, when there's a rise in
authoritarian fascism.
authoritarianism,
Yeah.
and there is real concern.
Yeah, and then tech companies are already in alignment. Like, yeah, that's also now a portal of viability that has opened up.
There's no incentive to protect users, basically, unfortunately. And so the market will reward people that, get there first. And so that sort of eternal conflict and dance between consumer need and business need.
So thank you so much. If you like this conversation, please definitely follow, subscribe, comment, leave a review, all the things. We definitely want to keep having these conversations. And also we'd love to hear from you as well. What are your thoughts on smart glasses? This is the kind of I think the final frontier for XR. Like, if this doesn't make it big, what does that mean for XR? And what does that mean for us as enthusiasts? Obviously we do believe it's going to exist, but whether or not it's mainstream or not is a different question. And I personally wouldn't advise if you put your 100% of your life into VR, probably not to do it into smart glasses.
Yeah, there's always exceptions. Like if you come up with a radical solution and you believe in your heart that that's what people are going to adopt. But I mean, part of the reason why we wanted to have these conversations is because we felt also like in this space, there's so much emphasis on minimum viable products and prototypes as products. And we want to move
Yes.
past that sort of like
Yes.
hackathon, like
Yes.
mentality where
Yeah.
these great ideas are coming out of hackathons, but do they scale
Right.
as a viable business?
Yes. And is big tech even actually able to successfully create a product market fit out of these, whereas we know smaller players are more likely to and they can scale it, but we haven't seen it the revert working the other way. So
And God, if we have
yeah,
another
so
round of tariffs, it's over.
Well, who knows?
No one's going to be able
Maybe
to
Canada
afford
will have to
anything.
produce
Like
it.
all the money we're going to spend on glasses, we're spending on tariffs.
Yeah, I do. I will say I'm excited to try. I think the glasses I am excited to use is the Google XR glasses. I feel like that would be very helpful for me on my day to day, especially since I'm forgetful all the time and I do use ChatGPT every day, unfortunately. Um,
Oh, I love
despite
chat. No, don't get me. Don't.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll have a whole thing on that. But I really am looking forward to the X Real Pro coming out soon.
yeah,
And if it's not out already, that's a pair of smart glasses I definitely have on my radar to pick up for sure.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. That's it for today's podcast. I think we're gonna try to do these maybe at least bi-weekly for now. This will just be 6 episodes, just focus on XR, and then we'll expand because I feel like there's a lot more conversations to be had in general. All
Like
right,
and subscribe.
woo! All right, see you
Thanks,
guys.
Clorama.
Until next time.
Bye.
I miss the times. I miss the times when innovation was created in response to a problem or there was an observed user need. And so the solution came to solve that user need. And this is what we think of when the Steve Jobs golden era, when he would come in and say, people were doing this and people were doing this. So what we did was we packaged this together and now we're going to give you this to make it XYZ easier. That's how technology used to be introduced. Now it's more like we need to make sure our business or our corporation or our platform has dominance or has staying power for the foreseeable future. And so we need to figure out a new area to invest in or to create a technology for that could hopefully grab that new market. And that's how XR was born. Honestly, XR was born as a defensive measure for keeping a corporation to have staying power over the long run. And so it was kind of like this experimental playground where hopefully you can strike gold and you have something that's going to give your company another shelf life of XYZ decades of years, some kind of dominance that will maintain its big player status. So you're seeing a lot of businesses, companies now like over-invest in this hype, over-invest, and this is what's going to be next, and creating these narratives around these new technologies, and they're just not panning out slowly but surely. It's just more like pivot here, pivot here, pivot here. And people who have invested in this and who've been in this space are like, wait, what's happening? Like, is this stable? Like, why did this go away? Why is this deprecated? Why is this merging? Why is this being split apart? Why is this turned mobile? It's really hard to figure out where things are going and if we have businesses as developers and creators on these platforms that are dependent on these platforms, it's really hard to, create career success or entrepreneurial success. You're trying to find the opportunity that these companies are presenting. So with that said, we're not in that age anymore. So it's harder and harder to know and harder to gauge whether these new hype products are just more gimmicky. We've seen failures with NFT, we've seen failures with crypto. So there's a lot more misses now in the space than there used to be, because now people are chasing the next big thing rather than responding to user needs today. And SmartGlasses to me fits in that bucket of chasing the next big thing and not responding to user needs expressed today. Does it logically make sense? Yes. It logically makes sense. I do see some very clear day-to-day value as a consumer myself. I love SmartGlasses as a way, but I keep losing it. And then now that I live in the UK, there's all these regulations. I don't have the features that exist in America. They don't transfer here. So in a way, it's not a need to have. And I think anything that's not a need to have is not going to replace the phone. It might have like some highs, but I think eventually it could easily flatline if there's not a financial structure in it. Similar with our phones. If I can get insurance on these glasses, I would definitely be having it all the time, knowing that I might lose it, or if it's stolen off my face, because that's a potential future that I live in London. Smartphones are grabbed out of people's hands all the time. So I need to see a type of infrastructure that supports the phone industry. I would need to see that for glasses as well, for this to be able to live up to that hype that we're promising for smartphones in 5 years or so. So too, lastly, Cecilia sent me an image of the SEO questions around SmartGlasses when we were trying to think about the title of this. And I thought that was so interesting. All the questions, I was basically very hype driven. None of it was around user needs. It was, and I know it's maybe cliche or annoying to say user needs, like who is that? But it's like people problems. So when I see, for example, in this post, like smart glass predictions, what is the future of smart glasses? What is the forecast for smart glasses? How does Mark Zuckerberg believe smart glass is going to change the world? This doesn't give me confidence. I want to see questions like, what can you do with these glasses? Can I do XYZ with these glasses? Will XYZ glasses help me with this? I'm not seeing questions like that. So it's like a lot of investor type of questions. This tells me that all these people talking about smart glasses are not people who are necessarily customers. They're people who are hoping that this comes out to become some kind of investment opportunity. I think, again, having the baggage of XR, the learnings from what did XR look like, when people are being told and they're following a leader who's saying this is going to be the future, this is go this way, this our Moses or whatever. This is a pattern I'm seeing being replicated in the AR space or in this smart glasses space, and I think that's something to pay attention to. And that is my conclusion and afterthoughts with my conversation with Siciliana. Thank you for listening.